Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Mo Kelly, Jackie Ray. We're going beyond the box score. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Jackie Ray, it's been one hell of a week and a half, I would say, just going on in Southern California. You know the basics at this point. The Rams played earlier tonight against the Minnesota Vikings. They didn't play at SoFi Stadium. They played out in Arizona. And you had the Lakers playing at home tonight in downtown Los Angeles. And you had the Clippers playing down the street from SoFi tonight. The game's still going on right now. I know they're different leagues, but why the different expectations as far as appropriate, not appropriate, timely, untimely to move these games? We know the NBA, they postponed the previous Laker and Clipper games, but now they're playing tonight. The winds are gusting right now. I can hear it outside the studio. The games are going on in LA, except for the Rams. They're in Arizona.
I can't explain this one because in my mind, the NFL especially should have at least played in LA versus moving to the State Farm Arena, considering all the homes that now don't have fire insurance. The optics of that just looks bad to me. You would have been better playing off in SoFi. So when we have teams, like you said, the Clippers are playing, I don't understand the logic. I do get, because I was one of the first people that said, it's just weird going about. I went to karaoke last night. It still felt very, very weird to be there having a good time when earlier in the day I had just been out to Altadena donating and seeing how it's this weird dichotomy of feeling sad and then doing something that feels great. So I'm not upset that they moved forward, because at the end of the day, we have to move forward. But it just seems like the timing is a little bit off to me.
In previous shows, I talked about the historical implications of canceling or postponing games, how the nation by and large has hewed more closely to playing the games as a way of ensuring emotional continuity. I talked about how the World Series was not canceled during World War II. I talked about how rare it was to cancel games except for like the 89 earthquake in San Francisco or 9/11. It had to be very, very extreme reasons to cancel or postpone games. Not that this is not along those levels, but going back to what I said before, it seems like there's an inconsistency in the approach where inside the same city, on the same street, you have a game which is going on. And if you don't know, Intuit Dome is literally one block away on the same street as SoFi Stadium. Neighbors. And having these games on, were you put off in any way that there are games going on, going back to your point of kind of moving on with life and celebrating and having fun and you know, go Lakers. Oh, by the way, the city's burning down.
Right. It's a tough one, because if you're here, if you're listening from abroad, it's not something that you feel like it impacts I live in Long Beach, and out in Long Beach, the air quality was bad. Long Beach is 30 miles away from where the fire is. So it's not like it's just exclusive to the Palisades or Pasadena or Altadena. It's literally affecting a large range of people and places. People with asthma in Long Beach are having a hard time. So it really doesn't matter that you're so far away. On the contrast, what we've seen is, and I think this is why people are having a hard time with the games just resuming as normal, SoCal has had an amazing outreach of people. People have been boots on the ground immediately, taken off work to go and help people, try to help people find pets or maybe even albums that have priceless memorabilia in them. So people have really stepped up to help their fellow neighbor. So again, I'm not upset that it's moving forward, but I understand when you're talking about people who have lost everything and don't have the means to replace it. sometimes I think internally we would want those who have more to step up more. So maybe that's what we're seeing, where people are saying, it's just a game. You guys can take this off and even donate time and money and resources to help people who have lost everything. So I understand both sides of it. I don't know if there's an answer, but there is an inconsistency. And I would love the teams to just sit down and say, going forward, because as long as humans exist, there's going to be tragedies that impact us. Going forward, this is how we are going to move when it comes to canceling games or not canceling games. Because if there's a policy set, then there's nothing to argue about.
Let's drill down on that one, because I know when watching the Lakers or watching the Clippers or watching the NFL football playoff games this weekend, yes, there's the obligatory thoughts and prayers. Our hearts are with the people who are suffering in Los Angeles. Please go to NFL.com/donate or something. They
Right.
will do the minimum, but what should be the expectation as far as the involvement of these leagues? That's part one. And also of the players. It's one thing to say, we shouldn't play the game. It's another thing to say, hey, the Lakers, you as an organization need to be doing more. You Clippers need to be doing more. You Chargers and Rams need to be doing more as an organization. And also, my word, pressure on players to get involved as well. What would you say to that?
Well, I always say players are people. JJ Redick lost his home. The head coach of the LA Lakers, he lost his home in the Palisades fire. And now he has to go out and coach a game. And I don't know if you've ever had that kind of loss. It is difficult to just go back out there. Athletes do it all the time. We saw Isaiah Thomas do it when he lost, I believe it was a sister or whatnot. So we've seen players do this over and over again, but it's difficult. And so I think instead of saying, yes, there needs to be a policy in play as far as what we're going to do as an organization. But when you're talking about people, I do think backing away and letting people, as in players in this case, but people who are impacted by this have the space to be impacted by this for more than just a day or two. Kawhi Leonard had to take a step away from the Clippers because his family had to evacuate. So we're not talking about people who aren't impacted and just these superstars that are making this kind of money. They are also impacted. They want to help and they need the space to do it. So maybe it's a case by case situation. I do understand the knee-jerk reaction of thinking that people that have more should do more. There's that, but I also think that people who are impacted should have the space to be impacted.
I wonder, and it's not for me to try to get in the head of JJ Redick. You mentioned
Right.
Head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers are finishing up their game right now against the San Antonio Spurs at Crypto.com Arena. But I know that JJ Redick's head cannot be fully invested in the Lakers or that game. It just can't be, because we are, to your point, humans. I wonder, and I'm not blaming Jeannie Buss, but I would ask her the question. Was there any conversation where you said, JJ, I appreciate you wanting to coach, but right now I need you to take care of your business so you are even better coach on the other side of this tragedy? Because I remember when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's house burned down, he wasn't thinking about basketball.
Nope. It's difficult. Like when you think, sometimes people say, oh, I just want to get back to work, no matter what it is. I want to get back to work to keep my mind off of it. When I lost my dad, that was what I did. I mourned for 3 months and then I was like, I want to get back to work. I thought 3 months was enough time. And then I got back to work, and every 15 minutes I have to run to the bathroom because I'm crying, so you don't really know how you're going to mentally move. But losing everything and just seeing him talk about it in a practice and talking about what it was, you could see that kind of in play. He was solid for a minute and then he wasn't. And that's what human emotions do. So again, I think humans need space to be humans and just deal with these types of things.
We'll have more on this in just...
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
Moment.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI, Mo Kelly and Jackie Ray. We're continuing to go beyond the box score, and we're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And we're also continuing our conversation about athletes, sports, and also tragedy. There are these expectations that we have of athletes as people, athletes as performers, and athletes as representatives of communities. Invariably, there will come a point in time, and this is not some grand prediction. It's just that I've lived on this earth long enough to have seen it, and I know it's coming. There will be some grand pronouncement by an athlete about these fires, about the response to the fires. And I'm not trying to predicate it's going to be this or that. I just know it's coming. Mm-hmm. Someone's going to have a microphone in front of their face. They're going to be asked a question, and they're going to be asked, and they're going to answer as honestly as possible. How much grace do you give athletes for something like this? And I know this is hypothetical, but they're going to say something which is going to piss half the people off.
Mm-hmm. That's a great question, because as a journalist who's been in that situation, I would give a tremendous amount of grace in this specific instance because of the tragedy. And I would probably ask, especially if it was a response that I knew was inflammatory, I would definitely give a follow-up question that would give them a chance to maybe clarify that.
Say that again. That is so key, because a lot of times you only hear the question, mm-hmm. which could lead the athlete to an inflammatory, air quotes, response, right. But there's no follow-up to give the athlete room to further elaborate.
Right. And I think that's important as a journalist to do that, because again, I'm not just a journalist, I'm also a human. And I have been in situations, I'm pretty calculated with my words, so I'm not saying it's never happened to me. But when your emotions are at the forefront of your mind, I don't care how calculated you are, you're going to speak from an emotional place. So that journalistic integrity says, ask that follow-up question. Now, if they double down on that, now you can run with it. But I do think we should allow people enough grace to speak in their emotion and then clarify their emotion, especially when they're dealing with tragedy. But that's not the society we live in. The society, even if someone does follow up with a great question and they clarify, they're going to lead with the inflammatory comment, because that's going to get more clicks and more views. So, but I think that's what, in my journalism, that's what I lead with, the humanity of the player, the humanity of everyone. So I think that's what we need to lean into, especially in times of tragedy.
All right, let's keep going down this road. We talk about the responsibility of players. We talked about the responsibility of organizations and employees of organizations. Let's talk more about the responsibility of journalists, specifically mm-hmm. sports journalists. What other recommendations might you have other than asking that follow-up question? Don't just ask JJ Redick about what he feels about, again, hypothetically, what he feels about the response to the fires if you don't have an adequate follow-up. But what other recommendations would you have?
I would recommend you go to an area that has been damaged by the fire. If you're following me on Instagram at Jackie Ray TV, I went out and I saw that. And I'm telling you, the devastation that you see in real life is nothing like the devastation you see on television. It just hits different. The smell in the air is different. As you're stepping on the ground and you're stepping over glass that has exploded from a car, or you'll see a baby crib you can just make it out because of the little bars, but it's burned to the ground. You can literally see humanity or someone's life burned to the ground. So it gives you a frame of reference that will allow you to have grace, because now you can picture yourself in that situation. When you're just talking about what you see on TV, it does look like a lot of Armageddon movies that I see. So we can easily just say that's happened over there. But when you put yourself in that situation as a journalist, it gives you a frame of reference to tap into, to help you not only understand where that athlete is coming from, but to feel their emotion and then thereby give them more grace, which I think we should do that across the board. Sometimes I think, especially Americans, we have these opinions about people and we've never been in their shoes. So if you put yourself in somebody's shoes, it enables you to have a little bit more grace.
Boy, you are preaching tonight, to bring up grace and then to say, imagine yourself in that person's shoes. It mm-hmm. seems a very simple formulation, but I guess it's kind of complex because people, for the most part, are not willing to do that. We all have these opinions and recommendations from literally thousands of miles away, but aren't emotionally impacted, aren't mm-hmm. physically impacted, aren't in any way connected to what actually is going on here. I've heard all sorts of opinions about California and what the LA Fire Department is supposed to do from like Australia. Australia. Yeah, I know you know something about fires, but you don't know anything about LA, what's going on. You don't know anything about Santa Ana winds. And then also the people who want to politicize this for their own purposes, their own personal political purposes and grandstanding. There will be an investigation. You know, there will be a post-mortem, as I said, and we'll find out who was wrong and why, to what degree, what facilities and structures and parameters, whatever, failed, and the people who didn't meet the mark. But right now, it should be about the people.
100%. Because the people are who's suffering. And if you can't see it in your heart I saw a woman who lives in the Palisades, and that's the thing. The Palisades has been the point of contention for a lot of people. If you guys don't live in California, let me just put it out here right now. Everybody in California is not rich. Everybody in California does not have the means to build a new house. I don't care if they live in Beverly Hills or the Pacific Palisades. Whatever you have in your head about the money out here, just throw it in the trash because it's not real life. And
insurance doesn't cover everything like that. That's a whole different conversation.
Right. So I saw a woman who lived in the Pacific Palisades, which is an affluent area, but she lives completely off the land. And again, the fire insurance specifically for that area was canceled. And this woman's heart was overjoyed. She was crying because she knew her house was burned down. She didn't have the means to replace it because, again, her whole life she lives off the land. But then her sheep ran up to her and she found out her sheep were alive. And the joy that woman had, you would have thought that someone had given her $1 million. So again, you don't know what people are going through. But in that moment, it wasn't about the materialistic things. It was about a group of animals that brought her joy, and she knew she hadn't lost everything. Just open your hearts and your minds a little bit to just that it's not about the house. It's about what the house represents, the life that people built, how they chose to raise their family, their animals, things. This is a whole person's culture, if you will, in one space, and it's gone now. So have a little empathy.
Your word is the last word and the best word. I'm Mo Kelly. She's Jackie Ray. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
We've been giving you a lot of information over the course of the evening. Be sure if there's something that you missed or there's something that you just want to hear again, you can always go to our podcast, which is available on the iHeartRadio app or any podcast provider that you might happen to listen to the show. I recommend the iHeartRadio app because that's the only place where you can get this show live and hear it as it happens. But Twala does a wonderful job at putting this podcast together so you can have all the relevant information, especially in a time like now. Earlier in the show, we were talking about the fires from a law enforcement perspective. We listened back to the remarks of LA County DA Nathan Hochman, who basically was letting everyone know he's following through on his promises to prosecute crimes in a way that we haven't seen for a few years since George Gascon was in that seat. We also heard from Sheriff Robert Luna talking about respecting the curfew and how you'll be arrested if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Stay out of the evacuated zones. And also we heard from LAPD Assistant Chief Dominic Choi, who was detailing people are not being arrested for just crimes related to the fire. Talked about how an individual was arrested regarding the illegal use of a drone. Also, people who were doing things completely not connected to the events, but just happened to be in an area committing a crime, and they were subsequently arrested. Now I want to talk about it from the fire first responders perspective from what we heard earlier today. First up is LAPD Chief Crowley from this morning.
But to start off with just a moment to share with everybody out there that's been impacted by these wildland fires that the entire LAFD family, sworn civilian, our city family, Mayor Bass, city leadership, everybody, our thoughts and hearts and prayers go out to you as we continue to push forward and mitigate this emergency. We understand the impacts, and we're working and will continue to work very, very, very hard for everyone. Another point I want to make is that also we are so very grateful for the firefighters and the first responders that have already arrived and continue to arrive in the Southern California region. We absolutely know that we cannot do this on our own, and we are tremendously appreciative of all of your continued support. As the increasing wind event is upon us as we speak, the Los Angeles City Fire Department has maximized our resource capabilities and response capabilities. All available LAFD resources have been staffed. I have strategically pre-positioned engine strike teams and task forces which are dedicated to rapid response for any new fire that breaks out in the city. In addition, I've directed the Fire Prevention Bureau to augment wildfire patrols in high hazard areas. The Palisades fire. Your LAFD remains committed to this fire, and we have a significant number of engines that have been dedicated to this fire. The crews that are involved, we have crews from up and down the state, outside of the state, have made excellent work overnight, mopping up flare-ups and hotspots. Their primary focus last night was on the Mandeville Canyon area, and this fire is now at 23,713 acres with 14% containment, with 5,123 personnel assigned to the Palisades incident. Firefighters will continue to work diligently throughout the day to increase containment and prevent further fire spread. Again, I want to focus my comments on the amount of resources that are here in the Palisades, from the first responders all the way up to our incident command teams. Again, we're going to keep working really hard for you. Just a brief comment on the Hearst fire. It's been held to 799 acres with 95% containment. Again, thank you to the community members that are out there for remaining vigilant. We are not in the clear. I want to make sure of that. We are not in the clear as of yet, and we must not let our guard down. As we have right now extreme fire behavior, and we need to make sure that the community is staying updated with the most updated information as well. Follow all evacuation warnings and orders without delay. And please stay safe.
Let me just interject something here. Some people may not know how, especially if you're not from the LA area, you may not know how the municipality works. Crowley is the fire chief for the LA Fire Department, as in city. That's not county. And a lot of these fires are happening in portions of LA County, which are not subject to the jurisdiction of LA City Fire Department. It falls under the county. Like, for example, we were talking at length about Altadena. That's an unincorporated area of LA County, which is not subject to the jurisdiction of LA City Fire Department. I live within an address which is LA, but I live in an unincorporated portion of LA, which means that if I call for a first responder, it will be LA County Fire Department. It'll be LA County Sheriff who will respond, even though my address says Los Angeles. So we have to be mindful of this when we want to assess and parse blame about who's responsible for this and who's responsible for that. Just know that there are a number of overlapping agencies involved in this endeavor. And to that end, we also heard from LA County Fire Chief Maroney.
The Eaton fire is now estimated to be 14,000.
And if you notice, he's addressing specifically the Eaton fire, which is, we were talking about Altadena. That is LA County, not LA City.
The Eaton fire is now estimated to be 14,117 acres with 33% containment. We gained no acreage yesterday, which is a very good thing. We know that over 7,000 structures are damaged or destroyed, and we have 3,408 firefighting personnel assigned to the incident. 26% of our damage inspections for dwellings have been completed. Impacted residents may visit recovery.lacounty.gov to view preliminary maps showing damage assessments. Please note that the preliminary maps have been posted and are being updated daily. If there is not a color icon on your address, it means the building has not yet been inspected. Severe fire weather conditions will continue through Wednesday. Please be assured that all fire departments and all law enforcement agencies in the area will be prepared. The anticipated winds, combined with low humidities and low fuel moistures, will keep the fire threat in all of Los Angeles County critical. I ask all Los Angeles County residents in wildfire-prone areas to understand that the necessary public safety power shutoffs are important for our collective safety in preventing the next wildfire natural disaster. I did want to dispel one rumor. The LA County Fire Department has never turned down any offers for mutual aid assistance and resources. Repopulation will not occur until all areas are safe. Additionally, our CL-415 Super Scooper that was damaged because of a drone incursion is reportedly going to be flying tomorrow morning. It has been repaired, and we're waiting for the FAA to give us approval to fly again. Thank you to Board Chair Supervisor Catherine Barger and Supervisor Lindsay Horvath for your unwavering leadership and continued support throughout this unprecedented disaster. And finally, to all the Los Angeles County residents affected by this catastrophe, please be assured your firefighters continue to work towards full containment of these wildfires from the air and on the ground. We stand alongside each of you as you begin the repopulation of evacuated areas when safe and the rebuilding of your homes, your communities, and your lives. Thank you.
For me, the takeaway outside of the information is he's reiterating that there's a distinction to be made between his area of responsibility, which has to do with LA County and those residents, versus people who are residents of the municipality, the city of Los Angeles, with Chief Crowley, which is different. Now, they may overlap at times when you have these fires, which obviously do not respect boundaries. But let's be sure that we are looking to the right person to figure out who is responsible for our particular area or particular fire as we go forward. I'm Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We'll have more of this important information, what was been said and shared.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Over the course of the day in just a moment.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
In the last segment, I was playing some audio from the county LA Fire Department Chief Maroney, and I was explaining how sometimes we forget, me included, that a lot of these agencies do overlap as far as how they're trying to help everyone in a crisis like this. And even though we hear more about Mayor Karen Bass and we hear more about LA Fire Department Chief, as in city, Kirsten Crowley, that is only a part of the story, as it's much more impactful to LA County. And in the last segment, we were playing audio from LA County Fire Department Chief Maroney talking about his area of responsibility and how he was targeting the Eaton Canyon fire. I'm paraphrasing, but at the end of his remarks, he made mention he was appreciative of the help of LA County supervisors, Catherine Barger and also Lindsay Horvath. And if you know what the LA County Board of Supervisors will do, they're responsible for managing resources in events just like this one. In fact, LA County Supervisor Lindsay Horvath will again join us tomorrow night to give us an update on her particular supervisor district and the areas which are impacted, give us an update there about its residents who have been evacuated and displaced, where they will be going next, or what services are available to them. But this is what Supervisor Horvath had to say this morning.
The latest Palisades fire updates, as you've heard, more than 23,000 acres have been impacted by this fire, and it is 14% contained. We have over 5,100 personnel, including 44 helicopters and 540 engines. The fire continues to hold along Mandeville Canyon, and we are grateful for our first responders and all those on the front lines fighting in this area. We know it is critical, and you are doing a great job. We've also made significant progress in Topanga Oaks, Sylvia Park, Temescal Ridge, to Mulholland. All of these areas have been under threat, and we are continuing to hold. Santa Monica has lifted their evacuation orders and downgraded to warnings in North San Vicente, moving from order to warning at 8 a.m. today. All of the warning areas have been lifted. A particularly dangerous situation has been issued. Strongest winds from Tuesday morning until Wednesday. We strongly encourage caution and vigilance. This is the weather prediction that the National Weather Service had going into last week's event. So these conditions are significant, they are serious, and we need you to follow all orders. All Santa Monica Malibu United School District schools will remain closed today. All Santa Monica campuses, except for Roosevelt Elementary, will be open. All LAUSD schools will be open today except Canyon Charter Elementary, Kenter Canyon Charter Elementary, Palisades Charter Elementary, Marquez Charter Elementary, Topanga Charter Elementary, Lanai Road Elementary, and Paul Revere Middle School. Our Department of Mental Health has resources for how to speak with our young people about wildfires at dmh.lacounty.gov. We need to support our children in this time and make sure they're able to talk about this tragedy. Our DMH helpline is 800-854-7771. Metro fares continue to be suspended for as long as conditions remain the same. We thank our chair of the Metro Board, Janice Hahn, and our CEO, Stephanie Wiggins, for their assistance. Palisades Post Office has been relocated to Rancho Park Post Office. Residents can pick up their mail at 11270 Exposition Boulevard on the first floor. Recovery.lacounty.gov has launched. You can find initial damage assessments as well as maps to indicate your property location and status, comprehensive list of county resources by department, federal, state, local, and nonprofit emergency assistance. Once again, that website is recovery.lacounty.gov. Our Department of Economic Opportunities East LA Entrepreneur Center and America's Job Centers of California open today as well to support impacted workers as well as small businesses. As far as public health updates, the air quality smoke advisory continues through next week. Please wear N95 masks outdoors. Fine particulates are airborne even in areas not impacted by the fires, especially children and older adults, especially those with serious health complications, are particularly at risk. LA County Department of Public Health is providing N95 masks at all evacuation shelters and to community-based organizations. When you are at home, please close your windows and doors, run the air conditioning or air purifiers if you have them, and check your filters regularly. In your car, close the windows and vents, turn your air conditioning on to recirculate. Do not, in any way, use leaf blowers or other actions that will push ash into the air. Follow all drinking water advisories. And due to ocean contamination, avoid the following beaches: Malibu Point at Surfrider Beach, Solstice Creek at Dan Blocker County Beach, and Inner Cabrillo Beach in San Pedro. To stay informed about the latest emergency orders, you can go to emergency.lacounty.gov. And I want to once again thank all of those who are on the front lines, keeping us safe through this very difficult time. All of our volunteers who have kicked into action to ensure that our community members are supported. And I also want to thank our governor for an additional executive order in addition to the one that he issued yesterday to expedite debris removal and to reduce the risk of mudslides. As we know, rain is predicted starting next week, and these complicated conditions may only worsen.
I'm Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
No matter which way the wind blows, KFI News is on it.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.